So here in Cappadocia, they offer many tours, and there are two tours in order to see the whole of Cappadocia, and that is the red tour and the green tour. And today we're going on the green tour.
So this tour is going to take about 8 to 9 hours to complete, so we're going to be here the whole day. But the first stop of the day is Garoma Panorama, and this is basically a view of these beautiful rock formations that you see all over Cappadocia.
To think that those were houses back in the day is pretty cool.
We thought that this tour would be a walking tour, that you'd walk around
or a hiking tour.
A hiking tour. That you'd go around to all these different places. So we've dressed like we've gone hiking.
Pretty much, even our shoes.
Even our hiking boots. But in actual fact, we learned that we're driving to all these destinations and there might be a little bit of walking.
At least we kind of prepared for the walking part, right?
But I'm still super keen to go on this tour, especially to see the underground city.
So right behind me is the van that we're actually going to be taking. I think we're about a group of about 14 people, so it's not a too big group, which is actually quite nice. And we have a tour guide with us, which is actually telling us all the information. Hey, here's a camel. I found your twin, baby.
Oh, thank you. That's what you must be attracted to then, huh?
Ooh, camels, yeah, baby.
So this over here that we're looking at is Pigeon Valley. So many years ago, when people were living in caves over here, the area around wasn't so lush and green. It was actually more of a desert. So they used the holes in the caves in order to attract the pigeons, and they would use the poop of the pigeons as fertilizer, and that is what made their lush green grass and crops and everything like that. So that's pretty interesting.
The stops at every single place is actually quite quick, as we're only here for about 10 minutes at each place and maybe for about 5 minutes for photos. So one of the places we've been wanting to go to most when coming here is going to the underground cities. Now apparently there is over 300 underground systems within Cappadocia. Apparently Cappadocia only has about 10% of the underground systems in the entire world of which people used to live in. So it is absolutely crazy, and today we are going to go in one.
How cool is this?
To think I'm walking in somebody's home from 2,000 years ago approximately, it's actually pretty awesome. Wow, look how cool these spaces are. I never thought they were actually this big.
This was for food storage.
This is incredible. All these pathways.
So apparently this was a church and they put candles here, and this hole over here was almost used as a confession room.
Look at these small little passages in here.
Look how small this is, like bend down. So apparently in this underground city there are 8 levels. I think we'll only get to see 4, but this is really cool how it's been engineered and like built into the ground. Apparently people lived underground in order to escape the Roman Empire and also some of the Arabs, so they would hide underneath here, and now we're going to go down an escape route that they used to use.
Oh. Wow.
These are such small spaces.
You literally have to crawl. Like, look.
This is such a tiny space. How cool is this?
This is crazy. Look how these spaces are. They're so small. So tiny, but actually so unique. This is so cool.
So it seems like at different stages of the caves there were different levels. So the top one was like the food and the church, and then this one's a winery. And as we go down, I think we get to the different stages that they used to use.
This group we can passing the air ventilation shaft. There is a left wing and the right wing is separate. So we are going to realize in the cool air coming and like a pipe of the air following me.
So apparently there's 2 shafts within the system, and in case invaders came in, they could actually close the one shaft off, so they could block and hide themselves on the one side, and they could keep the invaders in the other side. So quite a clever system.
Oh my goodness. These are really small spaces. I wouldn't suggest this if anyone's claustrophobic.
Look at this. It is so small.
But to think that this was built thousands of years ago is actually quite an ingenious idea and an engineering marvel.
So in these tunnels we have a shaft to our left which is a ventilation shaft in order to get air inside these tunnels.
Oh my goodness, you can actually see how deep it goes. I wonder how long it actually took them to build this cave system. That's quite intricate.
As you can see, there's just more and more rooms.
You can almost feel like the temperature drop because it's a little bit chilly in here.
Normally there is no fungus, no insects, no spiders, no reptiles, no mice, no snakes, because it's very cool.
Our tour guide is actually moving quite fast through these tunnels. So it actually does feel slightly like a rush. Sometimes we do get to chill and enjoy. But wow, we're going further down.
I think this is the only space I've been able to stand up straight for a while.
Wow, this is a big room.
So apparently this was the kitchen area. And that's why there's black on the roof, because this was used as a cooking area and they'd make fires.
So in the past, everybody believed that this is going like a grainer. It's like a crops and something is smashing into like a powder. But this is wrong. Today we can understand this is a metal framework. So the metal is heating after that they're putting and hammering there to give the shapes.
Apparently we've only explored like 15% of this cave system.
I can think that the people that used to live in here probably knew this place at the back of their hands.
There's just so many rooms and walkways that you actually get so disorientated walking through here. You don't know if you're going up or down or in or out until you get here and there's actually proper stairs.
Wow. Once you come out of there, it's actually quite bright.
You just got to take some time just to adjust your eyes to the sunlight. So if you're actually standing here and if you had to imagine it without all of the tourist buildings here, you would actually think that these are just normal rocks and mountains. You would never know that there was actually an underground city below.
All right, back onto the bus for our next stop.
We did a lot of walking in that cave, so it was quite tiring.
They do not provide any water or cold drinks on this trip, so it's good to bring your own. And thank goodness we did. So it turns out we are going on a hike today. About a 4-kilometer hike through a 14-kilometer valley.
So we're here at Ihlara Valley and we're starting this hike with about 400 stairs down into the canyon below.
How big is this canyon?
So we're in one of the churches here in the cave, and this one's called Daniel's Church. But you can see that there's paintings on the wall from many, many years ago. And apparently these paintings are here because a lot of people back then couldn't read and write in Greek and Latin, so they taught them visually through these paintings. The rock here is actually more of a sand, and that is actually why they could make all these carvings in the rock, because it's so, so soft. It's just crumbling away.
So here's another church in that direction there.
According to our guide, there are so many churches that were built inside of these caves. Only about 14 or 15 are accessible now. Some of them aren't accessible because they've been covered by like falling rock, and others because they're just too dangerous to go inside.
This canyon that we're walking through is quite huge. Apparently some of the rock faces are about 150 meters tall.
It really is a beautiful hike, and that's actually where the green tour gets its name from, because of all the greenery over here. Oh, here's a place that we're going to stop for some tea.
This little place has got some benches inside the water. How cool is that?
It's so cute. So this is like just a little stop to have some juice or some tea or whatever you'd like while we carry on with our tour.
Yeah, we only have about 8 minutes here, so I think we're probably going to get some more water and then continue with our 4-kilometer hike. Can I please get one orange juice?
So just got a quick orange juice. We used this machine to freshly squeeze the orange juice out of the orange, and it took about 4 oranges to make it. Danny's clearly getting bored with this hike.
Although it is very beautiful around here, it is river, rock and trees. So we've just gotten to the end of our hike and we're now going to have lunch. But the restaurant they have chosen, quite a nice vibe. It has some chairs there. There's a little small waterfall here. But like these benches are right in the water. Our tour guide has gotten us a table like this. But I'm quite hungry. Thank you.
So lunch was included in the tour, and we got some lentil soup, which I've already finished, and then we had an option of main, so I've gone with the beef casserole, and this looks amazing.
I've decided to go with some meatballs, so they've given me 4 of them and some rice. Looks like rice. We've also gotten some salad and some bread. This is really good. To our next stop. So we had our last stop of the day, and I think this is going to be the coolest one. Gee whiz.
This is just incredible to look at.
Do you think these were people's homes? Thousands of years ago? I wonder what it would be like if we still lived in such homes. So we are actually walking the very roads that the same people thousands of years ago used to walk. And although I do say thousands, I probably mean 2,000, 3,000 years ago.
Walk up.
The places we are walking through are absolutely incredible.
To think that someone actually built this with their own hands.
Yeah.
No machinery used.
And it's designed so well because it's so hot in the sun. But inside here it's almost like it's got its own aircon. It's so fresh and cool. Look at the spaces we are walking through. It is so surreal to be here.
There's the monastery, there's the kitchen. Look at this view. I wouldn't mind staying here just for this view.
They chose a very good spot. I'll give them that. So while we're on top here, they actually have a kitchen, a monastery, and a whole bunch of other rooms. But from what I hear, the monastery is the best. So we're going to save that one for last.
Over here, you can actually see the pigeonholes up closely to get an idea of how they attracted the pigeons in.
Women into the kitchen.
So you can see at the top of us, there's actually a chimney where I'd gather that the smoke would go out. The roof's even a little bit black. And here on the ground, there's actually these holes where I'd gather they would make their fire to cook their food.
So it looks like here they would probably make a fire, and here's where they would prep the food. But this is a modern day thinking, because I'm sure that's not how they did it. But if you look at the black marks here on the roof, it might have been where they put the fire. So what you making me for dinner?
Some sand.
You can actually see the carved marks within the rock of where they were chiseling to create all of this.
Trash chute? I don't know. Just a big hole.
The spaces over here are actually quite bigger compared to the underground cities one, and I think that could have been due to the amount of people that were living in this small little village. I'd call it a village? Is it a village?
So in this room, they would actually store the grain. So there's these big holes that I guess they just put their grain in and leave it until they needed it.
And now for the monastery, which is apparently the best feature. Wow. Look how huge this place is. It looks like a church.
It's so pretty.
Completely man-made out of rock.
Just to think they didn't actually use machinery in order to make this chamber. It was all just
hammer and chisel, yeah.
Run together.
Oh, wow. Every corner you turn in this place is just something completely unique and looks always so different to the rest of the rooms. Look how cool this one looks.
So they have monasteries and chapels and cathedrals. Right now we're in the cathedral, but you can really see the Roman architecture coming through here.
Look at the columns standing here.
You can see on some of the columns here, they even have some of the paintings again, but this time it's a little bit more washed out than what we saw at the Daniel Chapel.
It's just impressive to think that all of this was once rock and all of this has been carved out.
Oh, this tunnel's dark. Do you have a torch? Thank you. Oh my goodness, there's just chambers everywhere. I hope we don't get lost. Here's a door.
That must have been a very heavy door to move.
I'm just trying to think to myself how they saw in here. Like, if I put the lights off, you can't see a thing.
I can see you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can.
But that's probably just from the little bit of sunlight that
I'm
came.
lying, baby. I can't see you.
They must have had candles or something.